You ever set a big, ambitious goal, and then almost instantly you feel completely overwhelmed by just how much you have to do? You hit a ceiling. And it's not because your vision is too big, it's because you're trying to do it all by yourself. In this explainer, we're going to break down a really simple mental shift that can honestly change everything.
So it all boils down to the question you ask yourself. Over here on the left, you've got the default setting for most of us. How can I do this? And that question, it leads to feeling stuck, isolated, and ultimately, you're limited by your own abilities. But on the right, there's a totally different path, the who mindset. It's all about asking a better question, and that leads to progress, teamwork, and yeah, exponential growth.
Okay, so let's dig into this trap. Because from the moment we're in school, all the way through our careers, we are taught to believe that our value comes from doing everything ourselves. We think we have to prove ourselves by putting in all the blood, sweat, and tears. But you know what? That is a direct path to burnout, not a bigger future.
I mean, just look at Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest of all time, right? But for his first 6 years in the NBA, he won 0 championships. His individual talent was completely off the charts, but it just wasn't enough. It was only when the Chicago Bulls built a team around him, when they brought in the who's, like Scottie Pippen and Coach Phil Jackson, that's when he became a champion. See? Even the absolute best couldn't do it alone.
You know, this how mindset doesn't just limit our success, it actually creates these internal roadblocks. And let's talk about one of the biggest ones, procrastination. We just beat ourselves up over it, right? We see it as laziness or some kind of character flaw, but what if that feeling of avoidance isn't a failure at all? What if it's actually trying to tell you something really important?
And this is so common. I mean, look at this chart. Research shows a staggering 85 to 95% of college students say they're chronic procrastinators. This is not your unique personal problem. It's a nearly universal human experience. So if almost everyone's doing it, maybe we're just looking at it all wrong.
So here's the radical reframe. Procrastination isn't weakness. It's actually a form of wisdom. It's your mind recognizing, hey, that's a great goal, but I don't have the skills or the capability to do all the steps myself. It is a sign that you need help. It's a sign you need to find a who.
And this brings us right to the core solution. If the problem is asking the wrong question, well, the solution is pretty simple. Start asking a better one. This is where the whole who not how framework just unlocks everything.
And here it is. It's so simple, but it is so powerful. Instead of getting bogged down in the how, which automatically limits you to your own skills and your own time, you immediately expand what's possible by asking, who can help me achieve this? Just that one little shift changes your entire focus from limitations to possibilities.
Now, for this to really work, it's absolutely crucial to understand the roles. Your job as the visionary isn't to get into the weeds and micromanage the process. No, it's to be crystal clear on the what, what's the end result, and the why, what's the purpose that gets people excited. Once that's clear, you find the right who, and you give them the freedom and the trust to go execute the how.
Now, this isn't just a productivity hack. Adopting the who mindset leads to these really tangible, life-changing results the source material calls the 4 freedoms. We're talking freedom of time, money, relationships, and purpose. So let's see how this actually plays out, starting with time.
So let me tell you about Sharon. She's a successful, super ambitious entrepreneur, but she had this incredibly powerful why. Her mother was 82 years old and she just desperately wanted to spend more quality time with her. But that goal felt completely impossible with her current workload.
So, what did she do? She asked, who? She hired one key person, a practice manager, to handle all the tasks that were stressing her out and just draining her time. And the result? 500 hours. She instantly freed up 500 hours a year. With just one who, she got back what's basically 3 months of her life every single year. That is the power of unlocking your freedom of time.
Of course, I know what you're thinking. The moment we start talking about hiring a who, this huge mental block comes up for most of us, the money. We see it as an expense, but to really achieve freedom of money, you have to reframe that thinking completely.
This table just breaks it down perfectly. When you have a cost mindset, you see people as an expense that you have to minimize. You're focused on avoiding short-term spending, and the outcome is always stagnation and burnout. But with an investment mindset, you see who's as assets that literally create value. Your focus shifts to creating long-term freedom, and the outcome is exponential growth and impact.
If you want to see just how dangerous that cost mindset can be, let me tell you the story of Wes Sierk. Now, Wes was a millionaire, but he was physically pained by a $7,900 quote to replace his broken air conditioner. He thought, how can I save this money? And he decided he'd just fix it himself.
His focus on how instead of who was, well, catastrophic. He fell off the roof, cracked his skull, and spent 11 days in the hospital, 2 of them in a coma. He tried to save a few $1,000s, and it nearly cost him his life, not to mention months of painful recovery.
While he was recovering, this quote from the author Dan Sullivan just consumed him. If you have enough money to solve a problem, then you don't have a problem. Wes learned the hard way that a cost mindset doesn't create freedom. It creates bigger and much more dangerous problems.
So this shift isn't just about freeing up your time or making smarter financial decisions. It's about unlocking that final freedom, the freedom of purpose. It's about multiplying your vision.
Take Karen. She dreamed of writing a biography about her grandmother, but she was totally stuck, she was stressed out, and then she discovered a history professor was writing a book on the exact same topic. Her how mindset immediately kicked in and put her in this mode of competition and anxiety. How can I beat her? How can I get this published first?
Then someone challenged her to ask, who? What if this professor wasn't her competition, but her perfect collaborator? So she reached out, and the results were just transformative. The project instantly became better because it now had the professor's expertise. It was on track to get done faster, it was going to reach way more people, and most importantly, Karen's stress just vanished. It was replaced with a shared sense of purpose.
And this right here is the ultimate takeaway. Finding the right who isn't just about delegating stuff off your to-do list. It's about collaboration that takes your initial vision and multiplies its potential, taking it to a place you couldn't have even imagined on your own.
So think about that big, overwhelming goal you have right now. You know the one that feels just out of reach. The answer to achieving it might not be in trying harder. It might be in asking one simple, different question. Who will you ask?